I watched every Saw movie in the space of a week. I was subject to so much horrific imagery and straight up nonsense. The one question was going through my mind the entire time. Which one of these traps is the most preferable? I know what you're thinking. None of these are preferable. And I agree, but I think it's kind of funny. As soon as I finished my video where I decided which Final Destination scenario would be the most preferable, I immediately wanted to do the same for the Saw movies. But I quickly realized that this is a different kettle of fish entirely. The Saw movies are much less formulaic than the Final Destination movies. And I'm not saying that as a dig to FD. Love FD. Love logs.
Fuck all, it's logs!
What I will say is, not everyone perishes in these traps. Some people do actually survive. So in any of the situations I describe, just know that I am perishing. That's the whole point of the question. I personally thought I was splitting hairs a little bit with the Final Destination kills. Crushed by glass, crushed by plane, crushed by a sign. You know, who really cares at the end of the day? But oh my god, this was another level. With this, it's like, how would you prefer your end, you know, excruciating or horrific? But you know me, you know that I want to commit to this idea and answer this stupid question. Hey, it's me, the puppet from the Saw movies. Just checking on you, just seeing how you're doing there. Thought you might want to play a game. You know, you might be getting bored down there, so I thought you might want to play a game. I don't really know what you like or enjoy, like what your tastes are, so I just brought Monopoly. You know, everyone likes Monopoly. It's a weird game though, you know, it's like a property thing, and you're trying to like make a lot of money and build hotels and stuff. But you're playing as a cat, you know, that's just not realistic in the slightest. Saw 1 is a classic, not the greatest movie ever, but it's a good idea and it's done really well. Detectives are looking for the infamous Jigsaw, who finds people he deems wrong and puts them in games where their wills are tested, and we see how much they really value their lives. All the while, two men are caught in one of his latest games, and we see the two situations play out side by side. Kind of. Watching this one after the others is quite a strange experience because of how restrained it is. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. When you hear the word Saw, you probably think torture porn. But this film, the torture is almost secondary, you know? The focus is more on the mystery surrounding this Jigsaw fella. I mean, who is this freak? That being said, I do think this movie has some really cool traps. Jigsaw locks a man named Paul Leahy, wearing nothing but his pants, inside of a random basement. Constructed within this basement is a maze of razor wire. Now what's all this then? The man has been harming himself with razors and even tried to take his own life. So Jigsaw thinks he should realize the error of his ways by putting him in this razor wire maze. In his underwear! He has to escape this within 2 hours, otherwise he's trapped in that basement for good. Such overkill. Oh, you cut yourself? Oh, you're depressed? Here, let's see how depressed you really are. What an asshole this Jigsaw guy is. Completely unreasonable. Here's a funny one. Mark Wilson wakes up in a dark room, lit only by a small candle. Jigsaw tells Mark he has been injected with a slow poison coursing through his veins, the antidote of which is in a safe in the middle of the room. Where's the combination? Oh, it's just written on the wall, as well as hundreds of other numbers that don't open the safe. This guy's got to use the candle so he can light up the wall, see the number, enter it into the safe, and hope that it might open up and give him the antidote. I didn't mention that there's broken glass all over the floor, so each step is no doubt very painful. And you thought being in your underwear was embarrassing. Check this guy out, he's naked! Why is he naked? Oh, well, aside from comedic value, Mark has been covered in flammable jelly. I hope he doesn't get too close to any flames. Anyway, he bursts into flames and perishes. Could be a bit of an early call, but this might be Jigsaw's funniest trap. Like, he will sincerely tell you that this is survivable. In what universe? You need to have the greatest luck in the world to be able to pull this one off. And why was Mark put in this trap? He was pretending to be sick. Yeah, like, if you ever called into work saying you've got diarrhea when in reality you're just hungover from the previous night, this is apparently what you deserve. The reverse bear trap attaches to your jaw, and if you can't undo the lock within 60 seconds, your head gets ripped open. Where is the key? Let's just say, I ate it. The key is in the stomach of a body, also inside the room. If you can get it out of the stomach, you can unlock it and you can be free. The person in this trap is called Amanda, and she actually survives. I know I'm not meant to be surviving these, but all in all, it's a pretty easy trap. I can't personally say that I've ever been in a situation where I've had to open a guy's stomach to find a key, but I'm sure if one of these was on my head, it would be a piece of cake. Detective Tapp and his colleague track down Jigsaw to one of his lairs. They show up and there's a guy in a contraption. He's strapped into a chair with his mouth shut and 2 drills on either side of him. Once activated, the drills will start moving towards his neck, and we know how this is gonna go. Or not, because we don't actually see him get killed by this trap. One of the detectives saves him at the last second. Not that we're missing much, I mean, he would have been drilled. There's nothing cool about that. Now, even though I brought this up, we have no idea why this guy is being tested. Knowing Jigsaw, he probably didn't thank the bus driver on the way to work. Aww. Okay, this isn't a trap, but you see Jigsaw's lair and what he's been making, and look at this. He made a diorama of the bathroom trap. Like, it makes me so conflicted. How am I meant to hate this guy when in his spare time he's making action figures? This one's short and sweet. Jigsaw flees one of his lairs, and the detectives are trying to chase him down. One of them runs through a hallway, and they trip over a little wire, which causes like 4 shotguns to swing down from the ceiling and shoot him immediately. Like, I know this isn't a big elaborate trap or anything. It's a very spur of the moment and spontaneous kind of situation, but it's just too hilarious not to talk about. The bathroom is the overarching game of the movie, and it's where a large chunk of it takes place. Dr. Lawrence Gordon and Adam Stanheight wake up in a dingy old bathroom chained to opposing walls. The thing with the bathroom is, it's pretty straightforward. Are you willing to part with your foot or not? Because that's all you gotta do. Lawrence makes it out of there by chopping it off. Like, I do a lot of walking, but I could probably live without a foot. Hell, I could probably live without 2. Give me some of those robot feet. Like, if it's gonna be that or dying, I mean, come on, life is too precious to be, I'm thinking like him. If you're not playing as a cat, you're probably playing as some sort of boot. That makes even less sense. That's a goddamn shoe. Then there's the wheelbarrow. What the hell is going on here? Who pitched that one? What does a wheelbarrow have to do with anything? At least a cat you'll see pretty regularly in day-to-day life. And shoes, everyone wears shoes. Unless you don't, in which case, why aren't you wearing them? And then you got a battleship? I mean, that's pretty cool, like a battleship patrolling the streets, owning buildings. But once again, it makes no sense. I don't really know why these were picked as the pieces. Why wasn't it just like, businessman, business lady, investor, banker? I don't know, just like people. Saw 2, or as I like to call it, the Green Movie. Like, this is so green. It is really green. It's greener than the Green Goblin. It's greener than the Green Giant. It's greener than Greenland. I always find it weird. Whenever I see a picture of Iceland, it always looks really green. Whenever I see a picture of Greenland, it always looks really icy. What the hell's going on? Saw 2 ramps up the pace and action from the first movie. I know the opinion can be a bit split on this one, but I think it's really fun. As much as he pushes my buttons, I love all the stuff with Jigsaw in this movie, and the main game in the house is really fun to watch too. This movie features Donnie Wahlberg as a crooked cop named Eric Matthews. Yeah, that's right, Donnie Wahlberg. Related to Mark Wahlberg? Yes, he is. Brothers, in fact. I could talk about Wahlberg all day, I might not even continue this video. I might talk about Wahlberg too much. I might get Wahlberg brain. It's happened before.
All this design I got straight up. Straight up. All this design I got straight up.
A police informant wakes up to find himself with a contraption around his neck. What's all this then? 2 halves of a mask, each filled with sharp spikes. The puppet explains he has 1 minute to retrieve a key that is behind his eye. How the hell did he get that in there? He's provided with a scalpel to, get the key out, but the man doesn't have the guts to do it, and the mask shuts on his face. Youch! Obviously the pain would be unbearable, but even more unbearable is the embarrassment of dying in your pants. Jigsaw is such a pervert. This is very similar to the reverse bear trap in terms of how you're meant to get out of it, but to me this is so much worse. Like, if my options were going into a guy's belly or going inside my own face, I think I'd take the former. 8 people wake up inside of a very green house, one of them being Amanda from the previous movie, and Jigsaw tells them that the house has been filled with a deadly nerve gas. The door of the house is locked with these big metal bars, and they're going to open automatically in 3 hours. Unfortunately for the players, the gas will have killed them all in just 2 hours. So the only way to survive is by playing silly little games in order to get an antidote for the gas. Why is everyone here? Some of them do have individual reasons, but all of the people have one common similarity. All of them have been treated poorly or framed by Donnie Wahlberg. Huh? So they're being punished for being punished? Like, look, these people are really more pawns in the overarching game of Donnie Wahlberg, so, it's not really important why they're there because they're more to further his story. I mean, if we're talking preferable, this one might be a contender. Some of these methods of dying are so painful and brutal that succumbing to a gas, as torturous as that may be, it could be a best bet. On the other hand though, 2 hours is a mighty long time. You might find that you'd prefer something like the death mask that just gets it over with. At the end of the day, I think I'd just prefer to stay at home with a beer. Hey, you're good. More coming up after the break. Now, whilst there is a safe inside the house's starting room which actually contains an antidote for the gas, the players largely ignore this. They're provided with a key which they are explicitly told not to use on this room's door. Naturally, they try to unlock the door immediately, and as soon as it's unlocked, a contraption on the other side of the door is activated which fires a gun into the face of the poor guy who unlocked it. This one is just pure slapstick goodness, genuinely straight out of a cartoon. If Daffy Duck was on the other side of the door, you just know that his beak would have been blown around his head like a propeller. Simple and funny as shit. The group are making their way through the house, and they go into a basement that has this big box in the middle of it. It's got 2 of the antidotes for the nerve gas inside it, so they get a guy to crawl into the thing in order to retrieve them. He gets one, and it's all good. He gets the second one, and it's not so good. This machine is actually a furnace, and it starts filling with flames. The only way to get out is by going through the flames and turning a valve to stop the gas from fueling them. Unfortunately, our man does not make it. Here's the thing though, if you've seen my Final Destination video, you know that burning is not fun. However, in Saw 2, this guy doesn't burn completely. The other members of the party actually break the little glass window on the furnace, allowing for the guy to poke his top half out. Like, he still perishes, but less of him burns. So just to be interesting, I'm actually going to keep this pretty much exactly how it happens in the movie when it comes to the rankings. Ew! One of the players, Addison, is stumbling around the house, clearly very delirious due to the nerve gas getting worse and worse, and her judgment is naturally becoming a lot more cloudy. She finds a room with a little glass box hanging from the ceiling, and inside is the antidotes to the nerve gas. All she has to do is reach into one of the 2 holes to retrieve it, right? Well, as soon as she puts her hand in, she realizes the holes have sharp blades on the other side, which are arranged in a way that makes it near impossible to get them out, at least without, tearing your whole hand off. I absolutely hated watching this for the first time, and I still hate it now. Addison was a prostitute, by the way, so that's another reason why Jigsaw put her into the trap. Come on, Jigsaw, times are tough. People have to make a living somehow. He has no respect for people that aren't him. Instead, you get a players like an iron or something. Who the hell decided that piece? Instead, you get to players like a train. What? A train? Is that symbolic? Are all of these symbolic? If all of these are symbolic, then what the hell is the thimble symbolic of? Who decided on the thimble? In what universe is the thimble relevant to any of this? I've been thinking about the thimble. Do people nowadays only know what a thimble is because of Monopoly? I'm sure when Monopoly was invented, in the 1930s or something, that people just knew what a thimble was, but even then I think it would be pretty obscure compared to a top hat, a boot, a dog, a cat, an iron. Thimble isn't even in the same conversation as those things. But nowadays, the Thimble's reputation is even more obscure, and I think that Monopoly might be the only thing keeping it alive. When's the last time you seen a thimble in real life? I can only think of one time, and it's when I played Monopoly. In this film, Jigsaw's cancer has gotten much worse, and he's on his last legs. I never thought I'd say this about someone who's, got cancer, but thank God, man. We can put an end to this nonsense, I hope. Unfortunately, he does have one last game to play, involving a doctor, a random guy, and his assistant Amanda, who is now firmly at the position of top heel. Have you ever seen someone rise up the card this far? Like, she was a one-off jobber in the first movie, but now she's like world champion material. The first trap of Saw the Third is a doozy. A guy wakes up in a school classroom, once again in his underwear. Keep it in your pants, Jigsaw. And he's got a series of hooks in his body. Hands, shoulders, legs, jaw, all of it. This is because he's been in and out of prison a lot, so Jigsaw's like, you like breaking chains? Try this on for size. The puppet tells him he has a time limit to remove all the chains from his body and escape. Because if he doesn't, a nail bomb, let me repeat that, a nail bomb will fucking explode. You know what? I'm not afraid to say it. I never liked bombs. They always rubbed me the wrong way. But now you're telling me they've got nails in them? Just knock it off. So this one is completely unwinnable. And even if by some miracle he got out of the chains without dying, the door to the classroom is welded shut. Absolute comedy. Can he stop being so gross? Detective Allison Carey, who was teaming with Donnie Wahlberg in the last movie, wakes up chained to a contraption. Now I know you're thinking, why is this called the Angel Trap? Well, the big metal structure gives the prisoner the appearance of having two folded angel wings. How cute! The prisoner also has these two cage things around their rib cages. Note, edit that part of script later because I used cage twice in rapid succession and it doesn't say, what the hell? There is also a glass jar full of sulfuric acid beside her. If she can't unlock the cages before the timer runs out, her ribs will be ripped open by the machine. Where is the key? In the acid! Another unwinnable trap because when you unlock it, it doesn't do a goddamn thing. Needless to say, this is one of the most brutal methods of torture I've seen yet. Can this movie knock it off? Can't we have some lighthearted fun for once? Dr. Lynn Denlin is depressed after losing her 8-year-old son. This prompts her to neglect her other child and also cheat on her husband. So of course Jigsaw sees this as a perfect candidate to participate in a saw trap. But she has an even more important role to play than usual. She must keep Jigsaw alive long enough while someone else completes their own challenge. She quite rightly says, no? Go to the hospital? But why would Jigsaw do something that makes any goddamn sense? Anyway, the actual trap is a device put around her neck with 5 shotgun shells. It's somehow connected to a frequency in a way that when Jigsaw flatlines, meaning that she's failed her task, then her head will be blown off by the shotgun shells. I hate this guy. Forget about the dioramas, this guy stinks. This is Jeff, and he's the primary focus of this game, as his son was suddenly killed in a hit and run, and he's been depressed ever since and filled with vengeance. All he has to do, he just has to forgive. And if he doesn't do that within 2 hours, he's trapped in a meatpacking plant, and he will perish. Jeff enters the giant freezer room, and inside is a naked lady tied up. I'm sure John Kramer loved setting this one up, you goddamn freak. But she needs to be naked.
She needs to be naked. She needs to be naked.
Because there's 2 poles which will spray ice cold water onto her. Given the circumstances, she is definitely going to freeze to death, unless Jeff chooses not to torture her. The lady was the only witness to the hit and run that saw Jeff's son tragically die, and she chose not to testify because she was scared of the consequences. Because of this, Jeff just lets it happen and she becomes a giant ice pole. This lady should have testified, like it would have helped tremendously in the court case, I'm sure. But is this appropriate at all? She didn't kill the kid. This happened to me once. A guy is trapped in a giant bucket, chained to the ground facing upwards. Next to him is a giant blender. Whatever is put into the blender will unload into the giant bucket. What's going in the bucket? Pig corpses! Don't cheer that. The idea is to drown the victim in the pig guts and stuff. really gross and really unpleasant. The victim is the judge who was presiding for the murder trial of Jeff's son. He only gave the guy 6 months due to the witness not testifying, which Jeff, and Jigsaw too, I guess, sees as not harsh enough. Anyway, this would be disgusting. The Twister. Now this is a saw trap. Jeff finally gets to the man who killed his kid, and he's strapped into this big crucifix-like contraption. Once the game starts, the contraption will twist around his limbs and head until he's all broken. Brutal trap design. I think, personally, this is one of the best in the series. So here's the thing with the guy in the trap. He didn't intend to kill the kid. It was manslaughter. I'm not saying this is good. Obviously, it's not. What I am saying is he had no intent to kill, and the kid came in and it was just too fast and they couldn't react in time. It was just a really unfortunate accident. Anyway, I would not want this to happen to me. The final test and the big gotcha of the movie is that Amanda is so dependent on Jigsaw that she is now being challenged to not kill the doctor while she helps Jigsaw stay alive. During this, Jigsaw provokes Amanda and shows signs of affection for Lynn to test her and see if she'll snap. Jigsaw is doing this partially because the traps that Amanda has been making are unwinnable and can't be escaped. Anyways, her test is to not kill Lynn Denlon. Otherwise, I guess, when Jeff comes in, who is her husband, he's gonna kill Amanda. The final test for Jeff is to not kill Jigsaw. Yep, if he forgives Jigsaw, he will save himself, his wife, and his daughter who has been kidnapped as part of the game. But it turns into a shit show. Amanda shoots Lynn, Jeff shoots Amanda, then after Jigsaw explains that all he had to do was forgive, Jeff kills Jigsaw. Naturally, because he has now flatlined, Lynn's head fucking explodes. So I guess no one learned anything. Even for a Saw movie, this is real dour ending. All this to say, I don't think this is a very good game. You sort of just play until everyone gets bored of the person winning because they've priced you out and they're just being an asshole about it. You land on one of their spaces and you have to pay like $500 and then they're like, oh, you got the money? And then you're like, no, I've only got 200 because all of my other properties have because you've taken all the properties and I don't have any money. I'm not making any money. So I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to go into debt or just bust. And then that person's just happy the whole day. They're like, well, I won Monopoly. And you just never hear the end of it. You can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. Except for when my old friend Lee Idea got shot in the head. In that case, they really did kill the man and Lee Idea. I'll never forgive the killer. But even though Jigsaw and Amanda may be out of the picture, it appears that Jigsaw may have yet another accomplice to carry out his games now that he's gone. I wonder who that could be. Two guys are each tied by the neck by a long chain, which is feeding through some machine in the middle of the room. If the chain is tugged on too hard, the machine will start turning and it will pull them towards the center and I guess just strangle them. That's okay, just don't pull too hard and discuss with the other person how you could possibly get out. Unfortunately, one of the guys has his eyes sewn shut and the other has his mouth sewn shut. Comedy! This one is just a disaster. The guy who can't see is going absolutely crazy because he thinks he's about to be killed by the other guy. And the guy who can't talk isn't able to explain that they need to work together to get out. After some downright silly bollocks, the blinded guy gets killed, because of course he would. How the hell was he meant to win this? On the subject of this guy, there's no reason given why he's in this trap. We do know why the other guy is here though. You might recognize him from Breaking Bad. You know, he was in that famous scene. The one where Walt's like, Heisenberg. Officer Riggs is the central protagonist of Saw 4. You want to know why he was put in a Saw game? He's too eager to save people. Yeah, he's actually such a good guy that he saves people a bit too eagerly. Anyway, as part of Riggs' tests, he will have to go through a series of games which contain other victims, the first of which is a lady called Brenda. Why was she targeted by Jigsaw? Because she's a pimp. Not a good person by any means, but the trap, I mean, should Riggs engage with the trap, the machine is going to start pulling on the pimp's hair, and the result being that she gets her scalp ripped off. Anyway, the pimp dies, not by way of the trap, but instead by the hands of Riggs. She attacks him with a knife as soon as she's freed because she was part of her own test by Jigsaw, having been instructed to kill him. Of course, I will not have it this easy. I will indeed be scalped. Okay, this isn't related to any trap, but we learn that Donnie Wahlberg from Saw 2 is still alive, and while being kept in prison, he befriends a rat. Anyway, the whole point of Riggs' game is that he needs to save Donnie Wahlberg, who's being held captive along with homicide detective Mark Hoffman. There's a 90-minute timer which Riggs sees as the limit to find and save the prisoners. The next part of Riggs' trap involves him going into a cheap hotel room where he finds a man who he's been told that he has to tie to his bed by his arms and legs. Why is this guy here? Well, this guy's a fucking rapist. I don't need to explain why this guy is here. What an awful person. The thing is though, this is definitely one of the Saw victims that makes the previous ones seem even more unreasonable. Remember the guy who got blown up because he pretended to be sick? Anyway, the trap requires the victim to force a machine to gouge out their eyes in order to be freed from it. If they do not do this, their limbs will be ripped apart by the contraption. This guy tries to free himself, but he can't commit to it and becomes 5 lovely pieces. If this happened to me, I don't think I'd enjoy it. I have never wanted to be ripped into pieces, let alone on a bed. That's something that should be relaxing. Riggs finds 2 people in a classroom, connected by some poles that are going through both of their bodies. One of these people is a school teacher who is a physically abusive husband and a father. What an awful guy. The other person in the trap is his wife? The one who is getting abused? I mean, okay, the logic is that she's complacent, she's letting him do these things to not only her, but her kid too. I get that. Just seems pretty drastic, Anyway, the point of the trap is for his wife to remove all the spikes from herself. The spikes have mortally wounded the teacher, but they've only wounded the wife's flesh, so as long as she's quick, she can get out fine. I will say I do like what this trap represents. She has to physically separate herself from him in order to survive, much like how she should be doing in the marriage. But once again, you just took it too far. FBI detectives have been poking around the jigsaw tests that Riggs have been completing after he's done with them, and they eventually stumble upon a room with a little Billy puppet in the middle. They check it out, and wouldn't you know it, the puppet fucking explodes. The fragments of puppet pierce one of the FBI agents in the face, and she is out for the count. This is just pure comedy. I love puppets, love exploding. This was made to pop me. So a lot of Saw 4 takes place in flashbacks, because this is what happens when you kill the star of the show. Tobin Bell isn't like the greatest actor or anything, but he has an undeniable aura, like a real normal guy aura, but it's one you want to watch more of. So flashbacks are how we're going to be experiencing Jigsaw from now on. Anyway, we learn that Jigsaw actually lived a fairly normal life before he became a maniac. He was an engineer and he had a lovely wife named Jill Tuck who worked at a rehab clinic. And they had a kid on the way. Unfortunately, one of the addicts that attended the clinic tried to rob the place and in the process knocked into Jill, causing her to have a miscarriage. Understandably, her and Jigsaw are distraught. It affects Jigsaw so much that he leaves Jill. The time away from his wife, his work, and all the trauma that he's now got, it causes him to become the freak that we know today. He finds the guy who killed his child and straps him to a chair. The guy can only get out if he pushes his face far enough through a mask of knives. It's really sweet seeing how makeshift and simple it is. But I've got to be honest, shouldn't this trap be worse? Like, by Jigsaw standards, this trap is really tame. Remember what he did to the depressed guy? This man killed his son! If he stays on the chair, he bleeds out, but in the movie he actually does get out of the trap and proceeds to fall into a box of razor wire when he tries to attack Jigsaw, and this is how he perishes. For the sake of keeping it interesting, I'm gonna have this one play out exactly as it does here, when I'm putting myself in his shoes. This trap is dumb. Like, this is just a stupid trap. As part of Riggs' game, Donnie Wahlberg is suspended on a giant block of ice. Already, this is stupid. But here's the thing. If Riggs fails the game, which in this case is taking less than 90 minutes to save him, let me say that again. If he saves him quicker, then he will fail. Anyway, Riggs gets there before 90 minutes because he's just too eager to save people. And Donnie Wahlberg's head gets crushed by 2 blocks of ice. So motherfucking stupid, but I do love it. Very similar to the weight machine death in Final Destination 3. So here's the crazy twist of this movie. During the film, the Breaking Bad guy has been keeping watch on Hoffman and Donnie Wahlberg, and you think he might be Jigsaw's new apprentice or something, but he reveals that he's in his own trap as well, where him, Donnie Wahlberg, and Hoffman need Riggs to complete his test to survive. But if Breaking Bad guy isn't pulling the strings, then who is? His own trap is a device that's attached to his back, and it's gonna rip his spine or something. Not the worst trap ever, but still, would not want this to happen to me. Doesn't matter to this guy though, cause Riggs just shoots him. Anyway, Riggs obviously fails his test and everyone around him is dead, except for one. Detective Hoffman. Hoffman has been pulling the strings the whole time and reveals that Riggs has failed. Just to add to the swerve, Saw 4 has been taking place at the exact same time as Saw 3, and all that nonsense with Jigsaw and Amanda, the married couple, is playing out at the same time. Hoffman gets out of there along with the kid who is being held captive to make him look like he's been a conquering babyface. Meanwhile, the FBI agent who didn't get exploded by the puppet went to the location of Saw 3, shot Jeff, and then was locked in that room by Hoffman. And notice how it's never the guy playing with the thimble that wins, because it's always the goofy guy who picks the thimble, because it's funny, it's a novelty. They're always playing as like the dog or the hat or something. I want to see the stats and see who's winning with the same piece the most, but then you'd have to quiz everyone who's ever played Monopoly, which is just completely outside the realm of possibility, and people would just lie. And I guess people just don't care that much. The more I talk about it, the more I don't really want to play Monopoly anymore. We are officially in the Hoffman era. I don't really have a horse in this race, but I'm a certified Hoffman fan. He's so boring, yet has this charisma that is so watchable. Not the same kind that Jigsaw has, it's a different kind of boring. This film is also notable for featuring yet another Breaking Bad actor. It's that meth cook who Jesse yells at when he goes to Mexico. Asshole! You may not recognize him here though, because he's doing a British accent. Ew! First trap of this movie is our first pure unadulterated Hoffman trap, and this guy is definitely a freak. I'm not gonna act like he doesn't have motivation though. This guy in the trap is Seth Baxter, and he was in a relationship with Hoffman's sister. Unfortunately, after a domestic dispute, he kills her, so you can understand why Hoffman would be a bit miffed. Miffed enough to put him in this pendulum trap. The victim is strapped to a table, and above them a giant swinging blade will be lowered down onto their abdomen. After 60 seconds, they will have been sliced in half. The supposed way to win the trap is to put both of your hands under separate vices and have them be crushed. Not fun at all. The story is not over for the FBI. Special Agent Stram, who was in the last movie, ended up rushing into the meatpacking plant and getting trapped, and he's now found himself in a saw trap of his own. A cube has been placed over his head, which is going to start filling up with water. The way he can escape does not exist. He is not meant to win this one. A classic Hoffman move. A simple trap, but what a terrible one. I've always hated the thought of drowning, and having that isolated to just my head would be a very unique form of torture. Anyway, even though I will be succumbing to a watery end, the guy in the trap does not. He uses his pen to poke a hole in his chest, so the water will pass through there and he doesn't drown. It's actually pretty smart thinking. We need more smart guys in this series. Okay, one thing I do like about Saw 5 is that it sort of becomes Mario Party. 5 people wake up in a typical dingy little Saw location, tied up by their necks all in a row. What's all this then? In front of the contestants are some boxes which contain keys to unlock their neckties, and behind each of them are big saw blades at neck height. If they don't unlock themselves after 60 seconds, they're going to be pulled back and get their heads lopped off. It's pretty straightforward decapitation we're dealing with here. Everyone knows that explosions really make me chuckle, so you can imagine my delight when Saw 5 had a trap that was literally just a room that blows up. This was made for me. The 5 remaining Mario Party contestants get in the room, and they notice that there's only 4 holes to hide in when the room explodes. On the ceiling is a bunch of glass jars, and some of them contain the keys necessary to hide and be safe. They get into a little scuffle trying to each get a key, and unfortunately the Breaking Bad guy who's been talking so much shit in his pompous British voice is left to die. The room The remaining contestants go into the next room, which contains a bathtub. Makes sense, all of these guys could really use a wash after all of these dirty torture games. Just kidding, it's an evil bath! Anyway, the bath has 5 current coils around it that must be connected to the water in the bathtub in order for the next door to open. Naturally, the contestants have a little scuffle surrounding this, and one of them ends up in the bathtub, connected to all of the coils, and they get electrocuted. So technically, she's actually not killed by the bath itself, but she's actually killed by the people, and then she's chucked in the bath and electrocuted. So let's just say that I got killed by the bath itself, because it wouldn't be very exciting if one of the options on the tier list was just beaten to death by a bunch of people, especially when the alternative is being electrocuted by a bath. I hate the thought of being in the bath with all my clothes on. How uncomfortable would that be? The 2 final contestants get to the last room and they're met with a contraption, just for a change, you know. There's a bunch of saw blades and a glass beacon near it. What they need to do to win the game is to produce 10 pints of blood, and then the door will open. Now this would have been a lot easier if they had 5 people, which is what they were meant to do. All of the games they previously won were 100% achievable with no one perishing. Headlopper, explosion room, bathtub, and of course, the blood drive that they're about to do. You know, I hate to say it, but I actually think this is one of Jigsaw's most reasonable games he's ever done. I mean, he never told them that they have to sacrifice anyone. It was just in these people's slimy nature to think of only themselves. Which reminds me, why are these guys even here? Well, they figure out that all of them were partially responsible for a case of arson in which 8 people perished in a burning building. This lady got a drug dealer to do the arson. This guy actually did it because he was bribed with heroin. This lady filed the report as an accident and not arson. This lady took bribes for the building permits. And this guy was British. Needless to say, I personally do not care about any of this. FBI agent Stram thinks he's finally got Hoffman. Stram and Hoffman have a little scuffle. Lots of scuffles in this one, and Hoffman gets knocked into a box and Stram shuts it because he thinks that it's another saw trap that Hoffman is now going to be on the receiving end of. But in a classic Saw twist, it is the opposite. In a really funny scene in which Hoffman slowly descends downwards into the floor inside his box, Stram is pissed and is like, hey, get back here. And then the room walls start moving, coming closer into the middle of the room, and eventually they squash FBI agent Stram completely. This one is straight to the point and simple. When I saw this one in the movie, I actually got out of my seat and cheered. I don't have to explain the plots, the twists, the double crossings, the flashbacks, convoluted setups, none of that. The guy just gets squashed. The walls of the room move inwards and they squash him. I love this one. Like, this doesn't even feel like a Saw trap. This is some Indiana Jones bullshit. Okay, we've gone through all the kills of the first 5 movies. Now there's only one more question to answer. Which one of these guys is the best Jigsaw? Let's get him in the ring. There's Amanda making her way to the ring. Looking fired up. Oh, it's Hoffman. He definitely thinks he's the best Jigsaw. Here he comes, the original. Bang out! It's John Kramer. Looking at all these imitators in the ring, he must feel so much rage and motivation to put them in their place. And it's for the Jigsaw Championship. This looks like something a 9-year-old would think is cool. And they're off. Hoffman laying into the 2, showing them how it's done. It wouldn't be a Saw match without weaponry. So no doubt we're going to see some brutal use of weapons. Hoffman at the top rope. Go on, Hoffman. Flying through the... Oh, he gets nothing. A ladder. He's not gonna hit Jigsaw with it. My God, ladder to the face. Huge DDT to the outside. Kendo stick to Amanda. Now everybody's feeling the kendo stick. John Kramer with the stiff rights. Oh my God, a powerbomb. Oh! Hoffman throwing a steel chair halfway across the ring. Didn't really do anything. The trash can. Hoffman. Oh my God, is he going for it? The pedigree. Oh my God, the RKO. Just getting a kendo stick. Making sure Hoffman is totally out for the count. Not going to break up the... Oh, f***ing hell. John Kramer Amanda. Oh my god, look at this! You gotta stop showboating, Amanda. This is gonna be your downfall. Oh, look at that huge gorilla press slam. Oh my god, John Kramer. The pedigree! Yeah, Huffman! It goes for the pin. 1, 2. Oh my god, how the did she kick out of that? The Tombstone Power Driver! Why is Huffman leaving the ring? 1, 2, 3! Oh my god! I mean, he's the original. How can you deny him that title? He was the blueprint. You know what? Hats off to John Kramer. Personally, I think this is going to be really difficult. The most stupid shit, just because it's like, of course, all of these are terrible. Let's see how far we can get. I don't know what the plan is for this. I really have been dreading this part of the video, because I don't know how I feel about any of these. Starting off, bathroom. So, here's the deal with the bathroom. So you got 3 ways of going. Starving, dehydration, or, catching some sort of disease that will kill you. Either way, it's going to be long and it's going to be painful. It's going to be arduous. It's not going to be fun. It's not like excruciatingly painful. There's really no pain at all unless you inflict it yourself. I've been thinking about the bathroom, and like maybe during it I could have like some sort of epiphany and some sort of spiritual enlightenment in my dying days. I could have some sort of like crazy vision, which is sort of making me a bit more supportive of it. I may be talking myself into that. I'll put it in different for now. I'm probably going to change though. Probably going to change. Reverse bear trap. So spoiler, but in the final chapter, they actually show the reverse bear trap in action and show it like ripping you open, and it looks fucking horrible. If that death isn't immediate, then that would probably be the most horrific thing that could ever happen to you. Yeah, I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that at all. I'll put in absolutely not. Razor wire maze, pretty terrible. I would absolutely mind. Just like, you gotta be a real dick to put someone in that situation and sort of get some joy from it. Yeah, terrible. In your underwear. Razor wire maze is just torturous. Like, that is real torture. You're scrambling around. It's just embarrassing. You're in your pants. It's like, I don't want to be involved with that at all. I know that someone is like looking in and like laughing at me and being like, look at this fucking idiot. Yeah, I hate it. Flammable jelly. I could sort of laugh at the comedy of this one while I'm in it. I'd be pissed off. How immediate is the bursting into flames, and then how long does it take for me to die? Because that's really what would separate it from absolutely not to would mind. For now I'm going to put it in would mind, but I might have to do some research on that. The drill chair is like going at his neck. It's like sort of at his neck more than like his brain, from what I remember. Let me get a picture actually. Yeah, it's more like his neck than going for his brain. It wouldn't be nice. It wouldn't be nice for sure. We'll put the drill chair in would mind. I don't think it's that bad personally. Just by looks, I'm thinking it's not that bad. Shotgun hallway, that's like an immediate wouldn't mind. It gets to the point. Straight away, you just bang, you're dead. Sudden, so there wouldn't be like a lot of these traps. Like, it's the anticipation of getting killed that would really make you scared and make you hate it. And it's just hilarious. It's just objectively hilarious. Might be going in preferable. Yeah, I'll put that in preferable for now. Shotgun hallway has always been a good one in my books. Nerve gas house is in a similar boat to the bathroom, where it's just like the long wait is really what will get you. But unlike the bathroom, with the nerve gas house, you actually know how long you've got, and you also know that it's not that long compared to the bathroom. I'm pretty sure Jigsaw says like 2 hours that they've got until it will get to them. So honestly, that's an easy wouldn't mind. And there'll definitely be some like delirious effects. You'll definitely get a little high off it. So, you know, there's some fun in that. I know it doesn't sound particularly fun, but you've really got to make the best of your situation with these ones. So nerve gas house, I'd say wouldn't mind. Of course, a lot of the peril of the nerve gas house is that, like, there's crazy people running around. There's like a guy trying to kill you. If I was in there, if it was me, I would like just go to one of the random rooms, lock myself in there, and just wait for it all to pass over. You know, I don't want to be involved with all that game nonsense. I don't want any of that personally. I'm not about that. I'm just about sitting. I'm just about sitting in a room chilling out. I'm just, you know, I'm chill. Next one is the death mask. I've always said that this is probably one of the most preferable ones. To be honest. It seems pretty immediate. I know it'll be fucking really painful. I mean, it would go for your brain. So my thought is it just takes you out immediately. Look, death mask I wouldn't mind. It's my personal opinion. Same can be said for the Magnum eye hole. You know what? Comedy. You know, just look through the door, go through the eye hole. You're like, who's there? Who's on the other side? And then you're done. Like, he's out immediately. You know, this is fine. Some of these people, Jesus, like, that's a blessing. You got to go out in comedic style. You know, these might be the only two ones in Preferable, just because they're funny gun deaths. Don't. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I didn't say that. The furnace, we've already talked about burning. That is a terrible, terrible way to go. You would not want to be burnt alive in some sort of compact little machine, some little box, if you will. The key part here is only his legs burn. I'll still put it in absolutely not for now, just because I think it'll be pretty bad. But honestly, the fact that it's not burning your upper body is a lot more forgiving than you'd think. I say it like I've done it. Razor box has always been a terrible one, in my opinion, because the thing is, it's like you put them in and then you just bleed out. Like, there's no forgiveness, and even in the movie that happens to her, she just gets left there and she just dies. My wrists are always in pain anyway. I have some sort of issue with them anyway, so to have them be in even more pain would just be very unpleasant. Yeah, it's torturous. That really is torturous. I would put that in absolutely not. It's not going to be like the lowest of the low, but I definitely wouldn't want it. Drill chair. Have I undersold the drill chair? Classroom hooks. No. Terrible. I guess you could like just not unhook anything, so you don't have to do the very painful ones. But then like, you're still gonna get nail bombed with that one, because it's like there's no good part of that one. I still think that's one of the worst. Angel trap, terrible. I hate that one so much. Would never want to take part in that. As far as the movie goes, I think it's one of the most effective kills because it made me really uncomfortable. At the same time, though, I would not want to be in that. No, siree. No, absolutely not. Shotgun collar is interesting because it's like pretty much the same as the hallway. Obviously, with the dread that it is going to happen. Obviously, I am not a brain surgeon. So it's sort of lost on me the pressure that Lynn Denlin in that movie has to endure. She has to perform brain surgery on Jigsaw and somehow not be terrified that she's going to be shot at any moment. Ultimately, though, it's fine. Like, you wouldn't... For the dread, it's going to go wouldn't mind, but it's over pretty quick. Freezer room, terrible. On the opposite of burning, now you got the freezer room. This would be horrible in its own way. I've never really thought about it too much. I've never really thought about freezing to death though. Here's one for the comments. What do you think is better? Having one half of you burnt or all of you frozen? Because I think, like, if it was a whole body burn, I think that would be worse. But half of you seems like an okay trade. Seems like it's really this is not as easy as the Final Destination. Yeah, freeze room's terrible. I don't know what I'm talking about. Big fat. Is it bad to say that it's I would mind because it would be stinky and drowning isn't fun and it's just all in all unpleasant. You know, you probably get some guts in your mouth. But like, I don't think it's the worst of the worst. Am I a bit of a freak for saying that? I don't care. I don't think it's that bad. Like, I don't think it's terrible. The Twister. This is like one of the worst easily. Yeah, this one's terrible. Just like, I think 3, you know, I think it has some of the best traps, and I also think it has some of the worst ones. I really don't think much of the freezer room, shotgun color, or even the pig vat. As funny as it is, I really don't think much of the pig vat. But the Twister is like incredible in just how much I wouldn't want that to happen. So yeah, that I'll put in absolutely not. That's an easy decision to make. Chain. Let's look at this from the perspective of the guy with his eyes shut. Terrible. You know, you don't know what's going on. You're just like, or is that a blessing? Is that like a good thing? 'Cause you're sort of like, you know, at least you don't know what you're scared of. I would mind. But it's not like the worst. I mean, at the end of the day, you just get strangled. What I mean is, like, you know, you don't get twisted, you know. He's not getting the fucking ribs ripped out of him, you know. He's not getting that done. No, that. Scalping seat. Terrible. Could you die from that? Like, could you die from just scalping? Usually, yes, the trauma and blood loss alone would result in deaths of many victims. Even those who survived initially would face myriad of complications and would almost certainly die if the skull remained uncovered. Yeah, you'd die. Yeah, terrible. That's definitely one of the worst. Did I put it there? Yeah, scalping seat. That's easy choice to make. Bedroom trap. All your limbs ripped off. Wouldn't like that, but does seem to be over quite quick. This one's actually stumping me a bit. I need to see it again. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I watched it. It's pretty bad. Yeah, that's going down. Because like, in my head, I was like, oh, he gets ripped like all at once, and his head comes off. But as far as I can see, that does not happen. It's more like they all come off one by one. I don't know if his head actually even goes. Terrible. Yeah. Spike trap. What is that in reference to? The diddler, the abuser, the poles in him. Yeah, it's like, it's drawn out, it's slow, it's cathartic, you know, it's your wife who's been abused getting out of you. That being said, I wouldn't mind that one too much. I need to move these down to indifferent, because I really don't feel too, I don't know. I don't know. The spike trap I wouldn't mind, really. Bathroom might be moving up. Yeah, bathroom might be moving up. Because the thing is, bathrooms, like, if I really didn't want to have that epiphany and have that, like, life-changing experience, you know, and go crazy, I could just pick up a rusty thing and, you know, get myself. It wouldn't be that hard. Ice blocks. Yeah, this one's... What a weird way to end someone. Wouldn't mind it. Exploding puppet. I wouldn't mind exploding puppet. It's not like the best way to go, but fuck. It'd be hilarious. Knife chair. Just a reminder, he gets out of the knife chair. It's actually the falling into a box of razor wire that kills him. Pretty indifferent to that, if I'm honest. It's pretty lame. It does seem like it would hurt. Pendulum trap. Absolutely not. That is fucking horrible. Water cube. Yeah, it'll be terrible. Ice block's hilarious. That's still one of my favorite kills in the whole series. It's so stupid. Spine cut, I really don't know how it would work. I'm indifferent. I really don't care. Head lopper. That is a good question. The head lopper. I did not factor in the head lopper. Head lopper's not good, but it's over immediately. So there's a lot of drama that comes with the head lopper. It's like you're in a group of like 5 people, and they all see you just losing, getting your head lopped off, and you're the first one to go. So they're probably like, they probably don't even remember you. They might remember the like most recent person that got killed, but you're just a fart in the wind, you know. I'm indifferent. I really don't care. I don't really want to be electrocuted. I would mind. The blood drive, I would mind, because it would just be long and drawn out. Yeah. And we get to the squash room. Squash room, love it. Wouldn't want it to happen to me though. No. No. Dread, pure unfiltered dread. Let's try and tighten up these rankings. So, squash room is not the worst. Certainly not. Is it worse than the water cube? Cause like, the water cube is better. The water cube is better. Pendulum trap, fuck no. Pendulum trap can get down to the bottom. Cause that's worse than the squash room, I think. Twister is also down near the pendulum. Bedroom trap, let's blow both of those. Squash room above angel trap. Classroom hooks. Yep. Razor wire maze, worse than squash room. I don't think the razor wire maze is that bad. I mean, it is. It's terrible. It's terrible, but like, it's not that bad. It's not squashing bad. It's not squash room bad. It's not like, you know, being squashed. It's not being squashed, but these are all terrible. What am I doing? Like, these are all fucking terrible. I'm gonna move on from there and just try and do the fucking wood mines, because that's the easier part. Chain's probably the easiest of those. Just being strangled. Or electrocution. Yeah, I'd say that's better than the chain, which is definitely better than the Pigvat's kind of funny. Pigvat is like not the lowest. You know, just watching the pigs come in. It's not nice, obviously. It's not nice. I'm not laughing at it. I'm just laughing at the ridiculousness of it. You wouldn't want to be drilled, would you? So that'll go quite low. Razor box, that's like falling onto it. Whatever. Probably just passed out, to be honest. I feel like with the blood donation, as if the further you went, you probably pass out as well. So that one is definitely low, but you know, it's not too much trouble. Flammable jelly. And that's just humiliating. Like, the flammable jelly is just fucking, it's a big joke. I'm putting that bottom. Drill chair is just mid, like, you know. I don't really feel anyways in regards to the drill chair, I just know it would hurt. As for this, the death mask is absolutely going to the bottom. Then shotgun collar, the shotgun collar is the top. Spike trap is sort of, it's really drawn out, but it's not that bad. I really wish they shed more time on the spine cutter, because it's really fucking up this whole list. Shotgun collar I actually wouldn't mind, because like, you know, just like I don't care. As much as I love my fantasy of being in the bathroom, it's not as quick and to the point as ice blocks crushing your head. So I'll put it at the bottom if you wouldn't mind. Nov Guest House is like somewhere between those. No. What am I saying? No. It's with the bathroom where it's meant to be. Exploding puppet. Because the thing with the puppet is it's like fragments of it, so it gets in her face. And to be honest, it doesn't actually kill her. Sorry to break the illusion, sorry to break kayfabe, but it doesn't kill her. But, you know, it's theoretically, if it killed me, it's a lot of fragments in your face. It's not nice. It's not nice. Shotgun color would be a lot more immediate. Ice blocks would just be fucking funny. Just gonna try and sort out this bottom. Absolutely not. Twister must be the worst, surely. Ooh, it's a good question. Would you rather be squished or twisted? In the comments now. Squished or twisted? What do you think is better? I'm leaning towards twisted. Pendulum is worse, because squash, once you're at your breaking point, you're done. Angel trap. I'd say it's worse than the water cube, especially if you try to retrieve the key from the acid. Which, for the sake of this, I'm going to say that I do unhook all the, or at least try to get the hooks out. In which case, that's fucking worse than the water cube, I'd say. First bear trap's also worse than the water cube. Was I, making a big argument for the water cube? Because now it feels like I'm really backtracking. I can't remember what I did, 5 minutes ago. But the way I'm feeling now, it's like the water cube is just drowning. Whereas the classroom hooks brutal, ripping it out of your body. How long does it take to drown? That's ultimately what I've got to do. I've got to look up how long it takes to drown. Drowning can occur within seconds. This lady knows what it's about. Death by drowning is not the best, but it's not the worst. Yeah, because the thing is, you'll be unconscious for a lot of it. I know it takes a bit longer for you to actually die. Very intense, but not for long. I'm saying water cube can... I just don't know if with the bear trap it's really messing up my whole thing. With the freezer room, it's like knowing someone is choosing that I die. It's very, very bad thing to know. I know Strum is being attempted murdered with the water cube, but Hoffman's a crazy guy. Whereas Jeff's a regular old guy off the street who's just incredibly vengeful. So I don't know, it stings more. And also it's she didn't go on the jury, and it's like shit, what have I done? Now I'm here. Now I'm being frozen just because I wouldn't testify. She should have done it. I hate to be I told you so, but should have done it. These are all terrible. I really don't want anyone to watch this and think oh, you really think that freezing is better than being scalped? No, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's just I chose to do this, so ultimately whatever. I've always hated the angel trap, so I'm just gonna put it below that. You know what? I'm gonna leave it as is, so that when I come back to do the remaining 5 movies, I can have a little reshuffle, spend some time just thinking about these situations, and then we'll have the final, definitive list. This is giving me a headache. The main thing is exploding room, magnum eye hole, shotgun hallway. Those are currently the most preferable ways to go in the first 5 Saw movies. Thank you once again for watching, and I do hope you enjoy this part and part 2 that will eventually come out with Saw 6, 7, Jigsaw, Spiral, and Saw X. The gay community